Few minutes, a man renowned for his conservation efforts under the campaign Ivory Belongs to Elephant. There you have him on your screens right now, and Nyamo is here for that all-important conservation discussion that we're having this today here on Bottomline Africa. Thank you so much, Mr. Nyamo, for joining us here on Bottomline Africa today. I mean, you're a man who literally walk for elephants, and you have made calls for Kenyans to own elephants, and you have done such a tremendous work in protecting the endangered species. So kindly let's begin this conversation with your walk for the elephants.
Thank you so much, Brenda, and thank you for having me on KTN. It's my pleasure to be here. Yeah, one of the things people always ask me, why elephants? And I've always said that I do not just work for elephants, but I give elephants as a clear visibility of other species. I say elephants are keystone species. That means they are point for conservation, bringing in all other species. So when I am working, I only talk about issues that are related to wildlife conservation and what affecting this. Actually, the campaign is aligned to elephant, land, and people striking the balance.
And you've literally walked across the globe to create awareness. And back in 2018, you had, in a bid to protect the African elephants and also other endangered species. Talk to us about, before we delve further into the interview, about conservation of the endangered species here in the country. Talk to us about your latest plan in terms of a walk that you're about to do.
Thank you so much. We just finished a short walk of 10 days from Nairobi to Aboseri, where we are marking the Wild Elephant Day on the August 12th. That was about 320, but I'm embarking on another one from Nairobi all the way to Narok, through Gong, all the way to Bomet, Kericho, and then Kapsabet to Mount Elgon. Reason because I have 3 populations of elephants, and this is Masai Mara, and then we have Mao, and also I'm also attempted to go to Kiriu Valley, where we have a population of elephants that comes from part of Laikipia, Saburu, and then Mount Elgon. Why? Is because these 4 distinct elephant populations, some years back, they used to share one common ecosystem, which has declined because of the unplanned infrastructure development. So this work is coming. I plan to start this on the 3rd week of November, and it take me 31 days crisscrossing 621 kilometers.
And I mean, you're doing such a noble job. But then with all this that you're doing, where does it place Kenya when it comes to, wildlife conservation?
It might be when I started this initiative, when I resigned from where I was working, the African Conservation Center and Kenya Wildlife Service as a senior scientist. I started a work, I was basically alone, and from Mombasa to Nairobi. This was 2013. But I found many people, including Her Excellency, the First Lady, have joined me. Among other people, I've worked in the US, I've worked in the UK, and I've seen countries like US closing business, domestic Ivorian trade. 2017, after the walk in Kensington to Bristol, I was a guest speaker in the House of Commons before the UK closing down the business. 2014, I was among the few and that we lobbied the country, the Kenya government, to come up with a new wildlife bill. And I'm happy that 2014 to date we have a new act that now helps, even gives community a chance to participate in the conservation of elephants. The other thing is the stiffer penalties. If today you are arrested with ivory or anything that is related to that, you can go in for life imprisonment or get a fine of 20 million. Though we still have challenges with magistrate, but at least we can say we have done something. And also bringing, I counted yesterday, I've brought 16,000 schools in Kenya in 32 counties, that today they can be proud to say that they have learned about the elephants.
And people are wondering, is it just the elephants alone that you are so passionate about?
Not really. Actually, my 2 species are actually elephants and hyenas, because they basically share different ecology. Without hyenas, and I've been teaching people that I found, even when I did my campaign in South Africa, people don't like hyenas.
Yeah, I was about to ask you.
Yeah.
I was about to ask you, because I'm thinking endangered species, I'm thinking about the rhinos, the elephants, So when I'm hearing about the hyenas,
Actually, one of the things I'm establishing is, the famous jokes that people say about the Team Mafisi. Yesterday in Abadeas, I established a Team Mafisi. I need this, and even in Marutirian, we have this, because we need to tell people, why do we need hyenas? Hyenas play a very significant role in the wilderness, controlling diseases. There are many diseases that are happening in the wild, like Marigi Nakatal, even anthrax. Hyena, when they eat the sick animals or the dead carcass, they control diseases. Remember some 3 years ago, the lions were poisoned in Masai Mara, and vultures started eating the carcass that was poisoned, and we started seeing animal dying, vultures dying. But hyena getting there. They have these strong enzymes that they can eat anything. But I also talk about other endemic species, like the work I will be doing. We have sitatungas that are along the route. We have bongos, and we also have the Brazza monkeys that are found within those areas. But elephants are keystone species. I always say elephant need big area for conservation. They drink 240 liters of water, and they eat 300 kilograms of food. That means if we conserve elephant, other species are conserved, they are in.
It's good you've explained that part of the hyena. So you're reminding me of what you said, the Team Mafisi. But then you have been lauded as one of the, one of the main conservationists to drive, that urge of protecting the elephants here in the country. But then at the same time, there's been a lot of, as much as we are talking about protecting this endangered species, the elephants, there is also a concern by communities about the human-wildlife conflict. So how do we manage that in a way that both, when it comes to the human side and also the elephant side, every side is well protected?
Thank you. This is a big question, and yesterday there was a webinar that Her Excellency, the First Lady, was addressing. Human-wildlife conflict, we thought it was a perception. It's real now. But I want to challenge the national government because so much work that has been done by the civil society like us. Look at what's happening in Masai Mara. All work that is done disjointly. Aboseri, we have the elephant management plan. But look at what has the national government done. They needed to validate the effort that is done by the local communities and also stakeholders. The only thing that they have done is a compensation, which has not worked. If you look at since 2014, how many people have been compensated for loss of their livestock from the animals? None. But the only thing that is happening is only compensating people that have lost their dear ones from elephants, not all. But now, what is the best way to do this? In my view, we've seen what happened in Aboseri. We've lost a lot of land that is migratory route for elephants and other species. When Kenyans buy land, those are adjacent to the park. We've seen now this escalate human-wildlife conflict. And I always ask, what is human-wildlife conflict? Is it human-wildlife conflict, or is it wildlife-human conflict? So
are you, I know that you've said, is it human-wildlife conflict or is it wildlife-human conflict? So are you, in other ways, sort of, when I go with your second question of is it wildlife-human conflict, is it because human beings, you're sort of getting into the space of the wildlife?
That's the thing. Actually, people always talk about wildlife-human conflict. In fact, it is human-wildlife conflict. We are the problem. Man is a problem. If you see unfortunately, for the last 3 months or so, we've lost about 3 or 4 people in Aboseri. And I have been personally there. And if you look critically, what was the cause of this? People denying elephants water. Yes, they have a right because it's their water. But now, what do we do to ensure that this thing doesn't happen? These things happen every year, again and again. So what
is the solution?
The solution here is we need the national government comes in.
Right.
Compensating people is not the solution. We need even to go in and understand and come up with the land use plan, what we call the zonation. This country, not everywhere you can do farming. Let us identify the area that is good for farming, we protect the farmers. And the other area that is not arable, we leave community and wildlife, because livestock and animals don't fight.
All right. And you're one of the people who lauded the wildlife Act that was put in place by the government, and what you do simply complements that initiative some time back that the country had of, hands off our elephants. But do you think that despite the fact that the country has a law that protects the wildlife, the endangered species, that is enough?
No, as I said earlier, it's not enough. Look at Laikipia, Samburu, there is no Kenya Wildlife Service. The Masai Mara entirely Kenya Wildlife Service is not taking much of the work there. But if any conflict happened there, we all blame Kenya Wildlife Service. I want to say this, and I want to challenge the national government, particularly the Treasury. They must release money to support the budget for Kenya Wildlife Service. When we frustrate Kenya Wildlife Service, I was in Laikipia, part of the Kirichu, and I saw some offices are depleted. Some vehicles have no tires. When we frustrate the Kenya Wildlife Service, we are frustrating the Kenyan wildlife family. So they have to release funds to support the organization, because if we lose the Kenya Wildlife Service, we have nothing else to be proud of as Kenyans.
All right. So, allow me to take a short commercial break, Mr. Nyamo, but this conversation definitely will not end. So when we come back, I shall be picking your mind on, the Kenya wildlife policies. Do you think it must be extended beyond the protected areas? That is something that I'd like to pick your mind on. After the short commercial break I'm taking right now here on Bottomline Africa, as we take a look at destination.